Hi, welcome to the 13th floor. I'm Marty Duda, and today with us, film director Florian Habicht. Did I get it right?
That's right, which
Excellent.
is in Maori te kahu and in English, hawk.
Okay, I'll remember that. So you've got a new film called James and Isey.
Yes.
Which we've seen. We saw it at the big premiere at the Civic, but before we get talking about it, we'll show folks the trailer so they get an idea what it's all about.
Nice.
And then we'll come back and talk about it.
That better? No. That better? That's better. Oh, okay.
Yeah, sit back, James. It's good. Yeah.
I came back to look after Dad, and then I stayed on to look after Mum. We're just living our lives together in harmony. It's a 50-50 relationship. That's it, go away. And the other one more on this one.
You created James, Isey?
Pop him out and that's it. Next minute. To have a balanced, healthy life, you've got to have a spiritual connection. Glass of bourbon.
A day?
Oh, I've got a very sharp mind. Badminton. They come from the most brave and strong fighting tribe in the whole area. I'm my own boss. I have a Mac attack with the chips and Fanta for my mum because she's 100 years old. You don't have to tell my age.
I'll just see about that.
What's the budget for the party?
If I win $1 million tomorrow, I'll spend it all. You're so beautiful, he can't stop filming you, Mum. Someone said to me, oh, your mum's not going to get to 100. I say, don't worry, be happy. Cheers!
You're being really blessed.
James, if you could take one thing from this life to the next.
It'll be my mum. This world you don't catch me in a nutty.
All right, we're back here with Florian. We've just seen the trailer for James and Isey, and so I think people can get an idea of what it's about. You basically followed Isey and her son James leading up to her 100th birthday, the 5 days leading up to it. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but what I want to start talking about is the thing at the Civic, because the film was shot 2 years ago and was supposed to be premiered like a year ago, but because of COVID or whatever,
Oh, no, it wasn't finished a year ago.
it wasn't even finished. Okay,
No,
fair
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, by the time the premiere at the Civic happened, it was her 102nd birthday.
Yeah, James, her son, insisted that the film premieres at the Civic.
Right.
Because it's the oldest, and the most glamorous theatre
Yep.
in Aotearoa. And the last time Isey'd been to the movies was during the Second World War with her brother Len at the Civic.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Does she remember what she saw?
No, she doesn't. We tried really hard getting the Civic,
Yep.
but there were pretty much 5 pencil bookings for every date.
Right.
So I told James, I'm really, really sorry. I want to have the film at Civic too, but it's all booked up. Like, would have to wait till winter,
Yeah.
to do it. And he
Yeah.
said, fine, we'll wait till winter.
Okay.
My mum will wait. It's got to be at the Civic.
Yep.
And then, I think a week later or something, I got a call from Luke, Madman,
Yeah.
and he said the Civic had gotten back to him and all their pencil bookings had been cancelled
Right.
for this one date, and it was April the 3rd, 2021,
Yep.
which just so happens to be Isey's 102nd birthday.
Amazing.
So yeah,
And
we
of
all
course-
got quite emotional hearing
I'm
that.
sure. And the most amazing thing is that she's there to watch it. I mean, that's pretty incredible, because I think she was sitting, her and James were sitting like 5 seats in front of me. So I could like watch the film and
Yeah.
kind of look down and watch them watching. It was an amazing night. So tell me what it was
Yeah.
like for you.
Well, I've been thinking about this day, for a year or so. But what I heard from friends who came, they just said knowing that they were there on Isey's 102nd birthday, it was such a special experience for them. They, you know, like you can't recreate something like that.
No.
It was, and the feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And especially after the film, of course, James and Isey got up on stage and everybody sang happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
She sang Que Sera Sera back to us. I mean, you just can't beat that.
Incredible, huh?
So did you have any discussions with her afterwards? What was she feeling like after?
She went, I was always a bit, is it too much for Isey?
Yeah.
But till I think 11:30 p.m., because she had her 102nd birthday in the Winter Garden afterwards.
Right.
She was happy in her element. She was even dancing. Like, she got up and did a few dances.
Yep.
Like,
That's all right.
That's, yeah.
She didn't have any whiskey, did she?
No, she had Florian Habicht wine.
I see, because that's one of her features in the
That's
film,
right.
isn't it?
One of her secrets.
One of her secrets. So, for folks who are unfamiliar, how did you get tied into doing this film? How did you discover them?
Well, actually, I didn't discover them, they discovered me.
Okay.
It was kind of like the other way around, which is often, you know, when you're lonely and single and you really, really want to find, you know, a girlfriend or boyfriend or soulmate,
right.
And you try and try and you try so hard and you do everything and it just doesn't work out. And then the minute you give up, you stop trying.
Yep.
And then you meet someone.
Boom.
I mean, that's my experience.
Yeah.
But this film was like that too.
Okay, so why had you kind of given up?
Well,
because you've had some great films in the recent past, all the way up to the Pulp thing. I mean, those are amazing.
So basically, after the Pulp film, which did amazingly well, and I was on a real high, and I got some offers from like other big bands if I want to make music films with them. Yeah.
Like who? Come on.
Like Beck, Def Leppard, New Order.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That would have been wild. But anyway.
Yeah, Crowded House, or Neil Finn, who lives just...
Yeah, he's right over there.
Yeah. But anyway, I was like, no, I want to go back home to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I want to make one of my dramas. Like, I've been working on these scripts. I've got 2 scripts. Yeah. And my heart is in Aotearoa. I want to go back. So made that choice. My girlfriend, her heart was in Berlin, but I talked her into moving back. Yeah. And anyway, and then I got asked if I'd want to make a film about spookers, the scare park.
Yep.
And this was the first time someone else had asked me to make a film, and I said yes. So I was commissioned to do this film about the scare park. Yep. And the brief was to do like an entertaining doc on spookers, which is this amazing place. Yep. And when I started making the film, I was really fascinated. I learned about Kingseat Hospital, psychiatric hospital, the history of the place. Yep. And that so many of the young people that work there scaring people are actually people that have got big challenges with mental health and things, and that they've found this amazing community, amazing whānau there, and it's kind of almost like a form of therapy. Right. And so I got really excited.
So there's a film there, definitely.
Yeah, definitely film. Made this film, and it did well in festivals overseas, but here back home we had a cinema release, and it was really hard because people that usually like my films saw the horror stuff. Right. And they were like, oh, this is not, this is too scary. And then people that want to see a horror were like, oh, this is a documentary about mental health. Yeah. So when it came out after the film festival, it bombed. Right. Like, no one went to see it. It was a time where people weren't seeing many New Zealand films. It was also during the elections. Yeah. And anyway, for me, that was quite hard because I'd put 2 years of my life, my heart and soul into this, and it's a great film. Yep. And it was like, oh, no one wants to see it. And then I was trying to get funding for my scripts and had sort of a bad run, like getting funding. And then, so then at that point, I was just kind of thinking back, oh, I've probably made all the wrong choices with my career. And,
oh no!
Like
now you're overthinking everything, right?
But anyway, so a friend of mine, he has an ad company, Curious Film.
Okay.
And because I'd pretty much, after Spookers, I'd worked 2 years on my scripts with no income. I pretty much was like, okay, I have to do something else. No more documentaries, like made a promise to myself. And I'm gonna make some TV commercials.
Right.
I made some great NZTA car safety ads.
Okay.
The ones with the car yard where people are unselling cars.
Right,
no,
right, right.
No more chatterbox.
Yeah.
And that was cool because I was actually like, oh, might be saving some lives, you know? And then I got asked to do an Instant Kiwi campaign for Instant Kiwis.
Yep.
And they asked me because they wanted something with real people.
Yeah.
And we looked over the whole country, and this is where, so this is happening in my life. I'm like commercials director.
Yep.
And back in Kawakawa, in another reality, is James, whose mother Isey is turning 100 in a couple of months' time.
Yep.
And James has organised this incredible party, an event, as
Yeah.
Isey calls it.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit short of cash. It's so epic. He's a little bit short of cash to pay to get the last things over the line.
Right.
So he sends he hears about this Instant Kiwi ad campaign, and he sends a letter, and I think it was a postcard, and it said, "Hi, I'm James from Kawakawa. My mum's turning 100 in a few months. We would love to be in your Instant Scratch Kiwi ad."
I can't believe that's how you
Yeah.
connected.
If you cast us, my mum
man.
promises to make one of her famous apple crumbles for you. So I was like, oh, we don't have to audition these guys. You know, I was like, they're cast, and everyone's to me, no, Florian, we have to audition. You know, this is the process. We have to show the client.
Yeah.
Something about me, Marty, is I never audition.
Okay.
And most of the time it works.
Yeah.
But it's not like 100%. But anyway, I had a strong feeling. And James he's a very, very spiritual person. He's so committed to his spirituality. He does karakia every morning outside under their power tree that you've seen in the film.
Yep.
And he asked the spirit world for someone to film his mother's birthday. So he put that out there, and I think he actually asked a couple of people, and they were too expensive. And then when I met them for the Instant Kiwi ad, when I stepped into their home,
Right.
which is just incredible. It's like a museum of treasures, and I was just kind of overwhelmed, and they had this hidden agenda that they want me to film the birthday and make a film about them. So I got welcomed into their farmhouse straight away by Isey.
Very cool.
And James, yeah.
Man.
And I tried really hard. I said, yes, I'll film the birthday.
Yep.
But I really didn't want to make another doco after my previous experience.
Right. When did you change your mind?
So we shot the Instant Kiwi ad, and then we traveled all around New Zealand shooting more stories with real people.
Right.
And I developed crazy insomnia because I told myself I'm not going to make a whole film about these guys.
Yeah.
But I'd wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and I just knew I have to make this film, and it was like a real conflict, my mind saying no and my heart and soul saying this has to be done.
Yep.
And then,
there you go.
And then I finally gave
You had
in.
no choice. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So you pretty much made the film all by yourself, right?
With James and
James.
Isey, the three of us.
The three of you.
We were
so
a
you had
great
no
team.
crew?
No crew, no sound recordist.
Oh, man.
This
what do you got
was
there?
the lens. A friend of mine, a cinematographer, told me about these beautiful Russian lenses called Lomo lenses that were used in the 70s and 80s on Russian 35mm feature films.
Right.
And I'm lucky, I have my own camera. I always have my own camera, which is my way to survive as a filmmaker.
Yep.
It means no one can stop me from making films.
Right.
I'll keep going, you know. You can be rejected a million times from funding, but if I have my own camera, and that's how I've made half of my films, I think, just by getting out there. But anyway,
tell me about this.
I got a
Does
few
this
of
turn you
these
into
lenses.
Tarkovsky automatically by using the
they're just beautiful, because my camera is very digital, but this gives it a really warm cinematic look.
Yeah.
And what I love about these lenses is when I got them, I bought them from someone on the internet in Russia,
Yep.
and it was a big gamble. I didn't know if
Really?
they were going to work, you know.
Well, you wouldn't even know if it was going to get here.
Yeah, and the guy was amazing. They work, but I was thinking, what have these lenses seen before?
Right.
What
Yeah,
have they
yeah.
shot? You know,
Yep,
they
yep.
shot like Russian propaganda films or blue movies or wildlife. Like I don't know. Maybe they haven't shot anything. They look like they've had a lot of wear and tear.
Right.
And now they're in Kawa.
Yeah.
You know, and when I was filming Isey and James, seriously, most of the time I was just thinking, oh my God, I've spent so long writing these scripts, but no one could script this.
Right.
Like, or their outfits, their fashion sense,
Yeah.
you know, like you can't, it's just like, so it was like a gift from God for me. They just fell down from the sky. And
That is amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're shooting, what do you remember most about it? What affected you the most shooting the 5 days leading up to
There were a few moments, like the scene, I don't want to give spoilers, but when they have the box,
Yeah.
Isey gets the big present from America.
Yeah.
And she's allowed to open it on her when she turns 100.
Yeah.
It's like the clock strikes midnight. They have a whiskey, and then she opens this box she's been, you know, waiting to open.
Yeah.
And seriously, I had to like try so hard not to, you know, laugh or stop or wet my pants from laughter or what was going on. It was the most. I had to be so controlled.
Yeah.
And
Because I remember seeing it in the theater, just going, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, and that scene just went on, and it was so that was very difficult. That was probably one of the most challenging things for me.
And did you have to make a choice whether we're going to hear you in the film? You know, at some point, did you just go, "Okay, I'm here. I'm part of it"?
I always have my voice in
Yeah.
my films,
Yeah.
and generally not me, except in Love Story.
Right.
These are the same pants I wore in Love Story.
Beautiful.
The whole film, I slowed down. It's shot and edited in Isey's pace.
Right.
Because everything Isey does is slow.
Yeah.
And in the moment.
Yep.
You know, she doesn't talk or think about the past. And I felt more like a David Attenborough wildlife filmmaker. All I was doing was capturing.
Right.
You know, everything was from them. It was all there, and I was just capturing it patiently.
Fantastic.
And I loved it so much, Marty.
Yeah. Oh, good.
It was the opposite to a normal film shoot where
Right.
there's a big crew, there's stress. Oh, the sun's going down. We've got to get this shot. We've got to get that shot.
Yep.
It was the complete opposite, and because there was no one else, it was just three of us. And I didn't even tell my friends I was making this film. There was like no pressure.
Right.
Like it wasn't like, oh, you have to get some great footage or you have to make a good film. None of that pressure. Right. And it was like the nicest feeling.
Uh-huh. So what was the editing like for you?
So
were you editing in your head as you were shooting, or because I'm an editor myself, so I kind of do that. I'm thinking, oh, this is the bit. This is the bit.
I had the idea quite early on about the structure of the film.
Yeah.
Because like none of my films have often got big stories. Like the Pulp film was just like a day in the life of Pulp in Sheffield, and and that this day counts down the days to Isey's birthday. That's what was happening, and it just felt like a really simple device.
Yep.
A friend of mine, Anastasia Donians, she's a fantastic editor, and we started working together on my TV commercials, and I was hoping she was going to edit the film.
Right.
But I didn't want her to edit on an Avid. I wanted her to edit on Final Cut Pro, so when she moves to Toronto, I could take over if I need to.
Right.
And she didn't have time or didn't want to learn Final Cut. So then in the end, I said, okay, I'm going to edit it myself.
Yeah.
And so I bought a small laptop, and with the technology these days, it's amazing. All the rushes put on 3 little SSD drives.
Yeah.
And then I just cut the whole film myself on the laptop.
Yeah.
And had a friend in Berlin, Gregory King. He's an amazing New Zealand filmmaker, and he's a dramaturg, and he was like a story consultant.
Yep.
So I would show him edits, and I call him my Napui brother in Berlin. And and he would give amazing feedback. And then Anastasia in Auckland, I would show her edits too, and she would give me great ideas too.
So what kind of decisions did you have to make when you're sorting through the footage?
Hardest thing was cutting scenes out.
Right.
Like there's some gold we got,
Yeah.
and it's not in the film,
Oh, geez.
and it's very sad. And it's even harder for James, because in the beginning James couldn't understand why, if we've got a scene that is so incredible, why is it not in the film?
Right.
And totally fair enough.
Yep.
But then my job is, to look at the film as a whole.
Yeah.
And I busted my gut trying to get some scenes in there, like just try it as a dream sequence, try it as an intro,
Yeah.
like the Kawakawa Christmas parade,
Right.
for example. It was a beautiful scene, one of the best Christmas parades I've ever seen, and it just captured the spirit of that town. It just immediately, I was like, wow, this town, it's so rich, and there's so many colorful personalities, and there's nothing like this anywhere in the world. And I tried so hard, but I couldn't get it in the film.
Right. Yep.
So that was probably the toughest.
Yeah.
But it was, I loved editing it myself.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
now you're an editor.
Well,
It's good.
yeah, it was.
Because, I mean, I think when you're shooting and you're editing, you think differently about how you shoot as well.
Yeah,
and
that's
you're
right.
like in and out, boom, boom. This is the scene.
Yeah.
Which could be good, could be bad, depending on how you are, but still, it's
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling about filmmaking now?
How am I feeling about filmmaking? Leading up to the premiere, it's been so much work.
Yeah.
So right now, I feel like having a little break in the countryside
Fair enough.
and not filmmaking.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, that's
I know.
understandable.
Probably in 3 weeks' time, I'll be itching to make the next film.
Oh, good.
But right now, I'm not thinking about.
Yeah.
But I am really grateful that with this film, everything's flowed.
Yeah.
And
Well, once you had the Civic on her 102nd birthday, you knew that you were onto something, and the gods were with you, right?
There's other stories when we're shooting of the gods helping us. Like when Isey and James crossed the street in Kawakawa, the zebra crossing by the Hundawasser toilets.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, James, we really need some big trucks to pass, because big trucks are like classic Kawakawa. And it was like, oh, do we like wait, an hour? We'll just roll for an hour. And James is like, don't worry, I'll sort it out. And and James, he put the energy out there, and as soon as we start rolling, like literally 2 massive trucks pass.
Fantastic.
Or at Cape Reinga, those scenes of James in the very, very far distance. I was probably 50 or 100 meters back, shooting on a very long lens.
Yep.
And because we didn't have a budget, we didn't have walkie-talkies, there's
Right.
no phone range there. And
were you alone then?
that was the only time we had assistance.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a driver,
Okay,
a
well,
friend
that-
helping me, and James had an assistant too.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
So,
But anyway, James walked down the cliff, and he did this beautiful karakia, and I realized I'm not recording,
oh no.
which is something I do very often, Marty.
Me too.
You too, yeah.
Hopefully we're recording now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what happened?
Yeah, so I'm just doing telepathy. I'm like, James, do it again. Please do it again. Please do it again. And next minute, James just stops what he's doing. He walks all the way back up to the top,
Right.
pauses, and then goes down and does his thing again. Like, and the film was full of moments like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we knew we had, we didn't have a crew making
Yeah.
it, but we had, and that was why James insisted that we have these special places in the film, like Spirits Bay, to bring the spirit world on board. So they're going to help us with this film.
Cool.
Or like Tani Mahuta.
Yep.
That was to, to acknowledge and to say thanks for the help. And
Nice.
yeah.
So the film is going to be in real cinemas soon?
Yes,
In
yes.
Beginning of May, right?
Yeah, 6th of May it begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, it's playing all around the country.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, so after the screening at the Civic, what kind of feedback did you get from people? What was?
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine because I was there myself.
I got a lot of amazing messages.
Yeah.
And that sounds terrible, but that is one of my favorite parts. When for the first time you get feedback from people that know nothing about the
Yep.
project.
Yeah.
And I think the most beautiful messages I got from people were people saying, "I love you." You know, I was like,
Yep.
I guess we all do stuff for love, you know.
Of course, yes.
And when you hear something like that, it doesn't get better.
No.
So it was, yeah.
Well, that's quite a story. Thank you for coming here and telling me it. And thanks for making the movie, because I mean, I had no idea what to expect when I went and saw it, and I was just like, oh my.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully, I'm sure everyone who sees it will feel the same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great to have it out in the cinemas.
Amazing to be here. I only know the space from YouTube, and the Aldous Harding interviews you've done here are the best. They're so.
I wonder how Aldous feels about it.
So it's
but
cool
we'll
to be
find
here.
out. But yeah. Well, thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
And good luck with whatever happens next. I can't wait to see.
You too.